Hi everyone, thanks very much for coming this evening. I just thought before we start I'd talk a bit about the ethos of the evening and why we're putting eco and dharma and arts together. So by eco I mean sustainability, resilience, stuff to do with life on this planet really. I'm sure that it's not news to you that we're living through a crisis and that the conditions which are conducive to life on Earth are being altered. And that I'd also say that no one wants this to happen. Not even the CEO of ExxonMobil. He doesn't want to see the coral reefs bleached. He doesn't want to see the bees die and the butterflies die. No one wants that. And so there's this real question about with not one of us 7 billion wanting this to happen. Why is it happening? And I'd say that it's quite striking that climate change is of monumental importance in the history of life and the history of humankind. So why is it that there are no books, no plays, no operas, no poetry, or very little written about it? I mean, if you compare it to AIDS in the last 2 decades or so, there was a real outpouring of art which actually inspired lots of political activism. And this isn't happening with climate change so much. And there are a few reasons this might be the case. One is that when climate change is mentioned in public discourse, it tends to be couched in financial or economic or scientific terms. This is pretty, it can be really complicated, it can be really depressing. It's very easy to turn away from it, turn away from all the graphs, all the dense prose, and actually assuage your conscience in doing something else which is of social benefit. And also, I think as an artist trying to embrace climate change and ecological issues, there are a number of challenges. So one is that it's quite impersonal. Well, I mean, that's often why in environmental kind of pictures and stuff, there are polar bears and all the rest of it you want something to be attached to. Otherwise it can be very abstract, it's very big, it's very overwhelming. There are a lot of artists who don't want to get too political because a lot of political art is either very driven or just not very good. Yeah, they don't want to sound shrill, they don't want to sound naive, they don't want to sound preachy. So that might be a reason why a lot of artists haven't looked at climate change and green issues so much. I would say that within Charakna, but also within the spiritual and artistic communities in a broader sense, we're actually really well equipped to look at climate change and green issues in a really helpful, new kind of way. So I'll start off by talking about consumerism. One could point the finger at consumerism and say this is the number one cause of us trashing the planet, basically. It's this trying to fill this void, this emptiness within ourselves with acquisition. It's trying to feel more secure with acquisition. And I think we should be very, very proud as Buddhists of the Buddhist teaching, which is really a total antidote to consumerism. And we should be a bit more open and forthright about it, I think. And to talk about the arts a bit more, and obviously the two come together very well. Sangharakshita, in his The Religion of Art, talks about 5 qualities which he says young artists should cultivate. And they are observation, sensitivity, sympathy, solitude, and reflection. And I'd say generally in modern culture is really anathema to cultivating these qualities. We're all too busy to observe, we don't have enough space in our hearts for sympathy or empathy, very difficult to get time for solitude or reflection because we're just so busy the whole time. And so I'd say as Buddhists and people who care about climate change and nature, we should actively resist this trend of spiritual laziness, which is just producing, consuming on this kind of working treadmill. We should actually step off it, take that time to be alone, take that time to reflect, let the painful reality sink in, but realise that actually this thawing is like the thawing of a limb with frostbite. You know, this is the blood coming back in, this is the empathy circulating within us. This is an appreciation of beauty and reconnection with all that is, that's actually waking up. And yes, it is painful, but it's such important work to do. So yes, that's why eco and Dharma and arts come together so well. So this evening, I thought it would be really great to celebrate the contributions of local Sangha. So, as you see, all the paintings on the slideshow, they're all from local national Sangha. Many in this room, some I found through Facebook on the Sharatna Arts page. Of the poetry we're reading tonight, a lot of that's by local or national Sangha. Some of it's by people who are long dead, some of it's ancient. Some of it isn't actually by Buddhists. I felt in the spirit of interfaith communication we've had some stuff by a Christian and a Baha'i speaker as well. And I hope that as a result of this evening that you can, the spirit of imagination can stir with you, because I think that's another really important thing about the arts. We can tell ourselves new stories, and we can think again about what it means to be a human on this planet, and that we don't need to repeat the same stories. We can live in a new way in which we recognise totally that we're interconnected with each other and intimately connected with the earth as well. So I really hope that you enjoy this evening. On a practical note, I quite like people to experience this quite deeply without too much pause. So I'd ask people not to clap until the tea break, if that's okay. So it will just be kind of, poem, music, and then clap at the end, and that'll be great.